Welcome to part 2 of 100 Months of Ashdown We know that you've already listened to part 1, so we're going to dive straight in. What do we believe at the start that turned out to be completely wrong? Well, that's probably what you said before, which is that a listing is money in the bank in the future. There's a direct line between the two.
I don't think I really had any beliefs. I was just sort of going for, like, riding it. So
I think when we started talking about the name, I got that wrong because I wanted to call us, if you remember, like Lake District Properties or something that had a good Googleable name, and you were pretty adamant you wanted it to be AshdownJones.
Yeah.
And that's one of the times I just backed down and went, yeah, good idea. And it's one of those things that I'm really glad we did. You wanted to go whole of market.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but I think in my memory, I just agreed and backed you on it.
Well, it was probably just it was probably one of those conversations where you said, would we not list every property? And I said, I don't think we should. And these are the reasons why.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you were petitioning to do it. You were just interested in why we would have that as a strategy. And in fact, yesterday I drove past the first ever valuation that I went to on my own, the one at Skeleth Bridge.
Yeah.
And the one I turned down at 650,000. In fact, I turned down the first two, I think, but that was definitely one of them. And you were a little bit worried about that.
What do you think the turning point was when the brand started to land? Land your brand is a great...
Isn't it? Land your brand. People won't know what it means, but I do like the idea of it. I think when people started saying to us, and I can't pinpoint the time, but I remember thinking when we were having conversations with people that they were telling us how well we'd done. And these were vendors. Like we'd go into a valuation and they'd say, you've done amazingly. And it would be somebody that was well known locally.
Yeah.
That was important to me.
Yeah.
Probably a bit of ego there, but...
No, I agree.
Catching the eye of the people who were important in our community was a really nice, reassuring step for us.
I think there were some important people that called us out and instructed us without going elsewhere. And that was a pretty good sign. And there's people saying you everywhere.
Yeah.
I see you
saying they did, everywhere. Yeah, and just getting compliments about our letters, our marketing, because nobody had ever done anything like this in this area before. And if you're in an area where somebody has already done this, they have already attacked the high value homes with beautiful brochures and photography and, you know, great lead gen and letters and everything, then it's a lot harder for you if you're listening to this and you feel like that. But we were in an area where we actually did feel that our biggest competitors were going to be more difficult to overcome than they have been. So I suppose one surprise for me is that they didn't copy us quicker and that they weren't worthy adversaries in those first couple of years. They're probably more of an adversary now.
Yeah, tough for, I guess, a competitor that's been around for...
Well, it's 41 years now.
A long time.
Yeah.
To, on one side of it, probably push back against us to vendors and slag us off, but then also copy. You can't really do both.
No.
You got to choose a path, and neither path you win on.
No.
So I get it was a difficult conversation.
It's difficult to be in a defensive position. It's much easier for us coming in as the newcomers and attack.
Yeah. How the age of tone of voice developed and why it's still different. I think you start at 100% of who you want to be and who you want the brand to be and how you want it to be positioned and what your tone of voice is. And you're the new guys, so you've got an advantage. People love the new guys, shiny new thing, let's try this. And that slowly weakens all of it. No matter how hard you try it, as your team grows, as time passes by, as your number of failures grow in terms of properties you couldn't sell. At first, it's fairly easy to make...
I think we only had one withdrawal in the first couple of years and we thought that was normal.
Yeah. And you've got to just try and keep a standard of difference where the people that don't know anyone that's worked with you or don't know you or haven't spoken to you can still see a difference in your brand. And you probably get dropped down to 70-80% of where you'd like to be, but I think time does a lot of that damage. If a new agent came in now and even if they didn't do anything particularly different, we probably lose some just because it's what happens, isn't it, to the new people. So
yeah, no, I completely agree.
Our purpose and of the voice hasn't changed, but
no,
it just gets watered down and weakened over time.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Things we tried with marketing that totally flopped. I don't know if we have tried anything with marketing that totally flopped. We had a couple of strategic advertisements that you placed, like in a golf magazine and stuff like that, but which didn't do anything, but
No.
That was okay. We did used to do things that were good that we don't do anymore for various reasons. Like we used to have lots of client parties. We used to have a client party every year, didn't we? Like a client appreciation party. I really enjoyed those.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against it. I just can't
be bothered.
Yeah.
No, I probably agree. What risks did we take? I think my biggest risk was you. You were my biggest risk, but actually I was your biggest risk because you were placing the future financial success for you and your family on me and whether I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to think back. I'm sure it was a risk at the time, but I think what's always felt like the biggest risks to me is more about hiring people. I've always been uncomfortable with upping our monthly base cost. It feels uncomfortably high now that we have to turn over something like £50,000 a month.
Just to stand still?
Just to stand still. And that's a lot of pressure in the slow market.
I think one big risk that we took that turned out to be a really good risk actually was whenever we've been short of money, the answer has usually been to list more homes.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the answer at all times. When we've got no money, it's really easy to contract. We were speaking to some mastermind members that were in mastermind a couple of years ago, and they said that they stopped listing during that time. Do you remember? It was about 2 years ago. And we didn't. We carried on listing, and we got to, well, even now we're on 97 homes. We've done the same again this time when it's a weak market, and we've just pursued the listings relentlessly, where other agents probably back off a little bit at the moment, maybe undervalue or cut corners with the marketing. And that, I think, is a big risk, to have all those homes under our belt and with no way of knowing when the market's going to turn. Because we've got, £120,000, £140,000 tied up in just the marketing costs of those listings, never mind the staff costs.
Yeah.
That's a big risk.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's a risk with historical evidence.
It's a calculated risk, definitely.
What have we learned about leadership? That has been quite a journey, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think what we've realised in terms of leading and managing are very different, I believe.
Yeah.
I probably would have thought they were the same thing before. You can have a hierarchy in your team that you can rely on for processes and to make sure things get actioned. But ultimately, it is down to us. And even though, we do try and step out, we step sideways and we try and empower people to get on with what they're supposed to be doing, ultimately, sometimes we've got to get back in again. Remember when I ended up doing all the monthly pad sessions, a couple of months ago, and then we've had this issue with our copywriters where we didn't feel like the copy was great, and we felt, again, overpaying for it, and we're getting a lot of pushback from clients. And so we've gone a completely different route now. And that took me getting into the weeds of that and just trialing a few things for 2-3 weeks and really pushing things forward. So nobody's ever going to care about your business as much as you do. And therefore, when the rubber hits the road, sometimes we have to get back in again and have that difficult conversation with a vendor or a member of the team, or, check the cash flow daily, which is what I'm doing at the moment. Sometimes it does rely on us, because not only... obviously our team are perfectly capable of doing most of those things, but it's a big responsibility to bear. And if we've got an idea in our minds about the direction the business needs to go, then really it's up to us to actually action that. Yeah.
The two things for me is, if you've got a feeling about something, whether it's client or staff, act on it on the feeling. Don't hope that it doesn't become a thing, because it always becomes a thing.
Yeah. And you might not always be right, but you might as well action it as not.
And you usually are right, but that feeling is usually right.
Yeah.
And the second thing is what Gary Vaynerchuk talks about a lot is kind candor.
I like that.
There's no point in beating around the bush with things. If there's a problem, you sit down straight away and you talk about it with team members. We all, or not all, but majority of us avoid confrontation at all costs, but for either to protect ourselves or to protect a team member or to protect the business, or it's probably usually ourselves, and we can make it look different in our heads. But when there's something to be said, there's a ways to say things, but it needs to be said.
I think communication is something that is underdone. People don't communicate when they're worried about something. They do the opposite. It's like, when they've got that difficult client, you don't really want to pick up the phone to them or phone them. It's the same thing with your team. It's the same thing with yourself, really. It's that facing something head on and having that conversation very early. There's a really good book on this. It's stoicism, isn't it? It's by Ryan Halliday, called The Obstacle is the Way. And that's the point, that you've got to tackle that obstacle head on, because that is the direction. If you try and avoid it, or you try and do the easy thing and you don't door knock, or
more problems.
It causes more problems down the line always. So whenever we've looked back and been honest with ourselves about something we've done wrong, it's usually a lack of communication that's been at the heart of it, or lack of a quick action.
Yeah. So looking ahead, what do we want AshdownJones to look like in the next 100 months?
So the will have been open 16 years by then.
Yeah.
I think it's unlikely you're going to want to still be at the helm in 16 years or 8 years from now. I think you, as a person, are going to want to go on and do something else. With me, I feel like this is the last chapter of my career, but this is an interim chapter of your career. So I'm happy for this to be my last chapter. I don't mind that at all. And I don't really have a date, but I think you should probably have a date, because you've got another at least 1 or 2 careers to still have.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want that, but the the agency will still be here. We're not saying that. We'll just have much less day-to-day interaction.
I think we thought when we opened it that one day we would sell it. I think that is becoming less likely now. Unless our management want to buy into it or something, maybe that's another possibility, which is what a local firm has done recently. Yeah. But I can see us owning the agency and strategically directing it, but really not being hands-on.
Yeah.
I think that would be my best kind of outcome. Also, something that we should say, something that we're glad we did, but we'd wish we'd done a lot sooner, is the property portfolio building.
Yeah.
I was dead against it for many years. And that's my bad, because I shouldn't have done it. I don't find property investing exciting. I didn't really want to tie up our money in something that I didn't find exciting.
Yeah.
But actually now it's building and you're doing it all. 18 months later, I'm really glad we've done it. I'm really glad you've done it and you've taken the lead on it. There's nothing we've done in the agency that's been as profitable as quickly as that. And we've tried several things. So I do wish we'd done it earlier. So if you're listening to this and you're wondering, maybe you're about to move house from a smaller house to a bigger house, hang on to the smaller house and use that as a leverage for your property portfolio, because that's what's going to keep you warm in your old age, not your agency.
It is. What scares you about the future and what excites you about the future?
I don't have any scares about the future at all.
Death?
No, because I've decided when I'm going to die. In fact, I've decided, so for those of you who haven't heard me talk about this before, I've decided my date of my death, which is going to be the day after my 101st birthday. So July the 16th, 2069 is going to be the date of my death. And I'm planning for that, which means that at the moment I've got just over 16,000 days left. And what I've decided to do is I'm going to have a countdown party every 1,000 days.
Great.
So my next one, or my first one rather, is in about September. Or maybe October, I think it is.
You think people will turn up to your death countdown party?
Yes, I do. I'm not going to call it the death countdown party.
47 years out from when you intend to die.
Yeah, because I've only got 16 parties. So yeah, I've got 16 countdown parties. I think 16 parties doesn't seem that many for 47 years.
But it's just, how do you market that? Do people turn up in black or?
No, I think the opposite. Turn up and celebrate that I've still got 16,000 days left.
I'm not sure people are going to buy.
Well, you're invited and you've got to come.
What excites me is loads and loads and loads of buyers coming back and buying all of our homes.
That's very short term.
And then them coming back again. And then selling with us a year later. Then...
Yeah, but the next wave of buyers will run out and then there'll be another dip. It's always going to be bear, bull. It's never... in fact, the market we opened AshdownJones in is the steadiest market we've known in 8 years. There's never been a steadier market before or after that. So that is not the norm. I think that's really the learning for anybody who's listening to this who's just starting an agency. You are always in a bear market or a bull market. You're never in the in-between, unfortunately.
How we stay motivated. I think for me, you learn what's really important to you. And I guess that is an ever-growing... or ever developing, not a list, but things that you either realise you do want or you don't want. My list is quite small, but quite expensive, with holidays, kids' school.
Holiday home in Florida.
Yeah, even that I'm not fussed about.
Are you not?
No. The Carlisle stuff I love doing, and I don't want a massive house. I just want a usable house.
It's funny, isn't it? Because when you start off, you think that's going to be the nth.
Yeah.
You really want a big house. I thought the same. And I've already downsized, so it's weird.
Yeah, the thought of the maintenance and the garden and the cleaning of a big house doesn't really excite me. So I think every day you get more clarity on what's important to you. And that motivates me to get that, and then...
I think motivates is a funny word, isn't it? Because... you're living your life every day. You don't need to be motivated to live your life. You don't need to be motivated to get out of bed in the morning. These are all just ways of living your life. So for me, it's about, we've got 168 hours a week. I just want to fill it with all the things I really love to do. And I do love to work. I love to be with our team. I love to be out in the fells. I love to be with my partner. I love to be with my grandkids. You know, I film a week every week with those things. So I don't really need to be motivated to do any of those things. I suppose the better question for me is more focus. What am I going to be focused on in the next 10 years, let's say? And I want to be focused on leaving this business better than it is now, so that it can support us and our team and run smoothly. Because we've started something that I think is a legacy. It's a true legacy. And it may not be here in 100 years. Very, very, very few businesses are. But we've already booked the trend for the first 8 years, because probably like less than 1% of businesses last 8 years. Yeah. Especially in a partnership where they've never been partners before. So from a focus point of view, I love looking to the future, but I also love staying in the everyday and just enjoying what I do. And when it starts to not become enjoyable, that's when I might look for something else. But until that point, I can't see anything changing for me.
It'd be interesting to see what does happen over the next few years.
Yeah, very interesting to see, yeah. I don't think we'll have any surprise, though. Well, let's say that. And there'll be another pandemic. But if we look back in 8 years' time, I don't think the next 8 years are going to be anything like as momentous as the first 8 years. I don't see how they could be. I think it's going to be steady away. And that's, as a hustler, that must be difficult for you to accept that steady away course.
As long as it facilitates everything else, the property stuff is future wealth. And then me and Moll are doing some property development with our own money that will hopefully keep ticking over, giving us 100,000 a year, something like that. That builds and builds and builds, and that's the idea, to have multiple properties that give us income from different places. And
Well, it isn't sexy, but it's freedom, isn't it?
It is sexy to me.
And also, your youngest, Cass, is 3. And so in 10 years' time, you know, Molly's going to be much freer, isn't she, during the days? Yeah. And in 20 years' time, which might seem to you like a lifetime, 20 years' time, all of them are going to have left, and you'll be able to get on with the rest of your life. And you'll be able to do so many things, go travelling and all things your mum and dad do.
Yeah.
Because I think you probably aspire to your mum and dad's lifestyle, don't you? Where they do travel a lot of the year.
Yeah, maybe.
They probably travel a good 40% of the year.
Yeah.
Don't they? And they do spend time with the grandchildren, and they spend time with each other and just getting out and enjoying our beautiful Lake District. So they have a very nice lifestyle, and your dad doesn't really work that hard for it now.
No.
Because he's, again, steady away. So steady away is the answer. So that wraps up part 2 of 100 Months of AshdownJones. If by some miracle you missed that there was a part 1, please go back to last week's and listen to it. And also, please do leave us a 5-star review, because we absolutely love getting them. I think we're up to 80 something, and it'd be good to get up to 100, given this is supposed to be 100 months. 100 5-star reviews. That would be great. So thank you in advance. And if you do give us a 5-star review, send us a screenshot and we'll send you a little gift.